My name is Dr. Elizabeth Lefay, and I'm a doctor of osteopathy.
My name is Stephen Clayman. I'm a doctor of chiropractic.
Hi, my name is Timothy Stonecipher, and I'm an osteopathic family physician.
My name is Molly Rutherford, and I'm a family doctor who also treats addiction.
My name is Michael Turner, and I'm a doctor of physical medicine and rehabilitation.
My name is Amy Offit, and I'm a doctor of integrative medicine.
It's time to talk about what has happened to us all. We are doctors, saying what tens of thousands of silenced medical professionals from all over the world have not been able to say.
I think seeing the censorship of these wonderful, super smart doctors, that was scary. To start censoring science, that's a slippery slope. In general, I think we've always trusted the CDC and the FDA, but with this pandemic, it just became questionable to me.
A sad realization progressively that they don't have our best interests in mind. They're not doing their job. They're not acting in the public's well-being. They're captured, they're paid off, they're corrupt.
Well, the group that put that together is called the Global Health Project. One of its founders is Dr. Kat Lindley, and she joins us now. Doctor, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
What did you guys hope to accomplish with this advertisement? There's multiple versions of the ad. There's an 8-minute version, there's shorter versions, getting all of these physicians and experts together to say, hey, we're questioning all of these things about COVID. We're questioning what we were told. What did you hope to accomplish by putting this out?
The main goal is to show that even doctors at the beginning of the pandemic, they went with the story, they went with the narrative, they went with the system. As the story unfolded, they started questioning things. We want people to realize that it's okay to question, it's okay to try to do what's best for them and not just follow what they tell us to do. I would say that, we've all seen CDC going one way, then turning it. Rochelle Walensky with her statements, it's safe, it's effective, all of those things. And I think the most important thing is for all of us to question things, not to just buy into the narrative and to do what's best for our families.
You're specifically referring to when CDC Director Walensky testified in Congress, I think it was last April, and we were all like shocked. Our mouths were wide open because she said that mRNA injections marketed as COVID-19 vaccines do not stop the spread of the virus. But of course, that contradicted all of the claims during the pandemic that was urging people to get the vaccines because doing so would reduce the transmission of the virus. And here she is testifying, admitting, no, that's not what they were doing. That's not what they were doing at all. It was an unbelievable moment.
It was, for me, the moment that I knew that we can't really trust what's happening was actually the masks. It was very early on when they said you have to wear the pretty much the spacesuit, the whole gear, and then they ran out of it. It was an N95 mask, and they went to surgical mask. But when CDC said that you have to wear a bandana, that's kind of new when the narrative is falling apart. Because for anyone who spent any time in the hospital, we know exactly how you need to protect yourself against any kind of infectious agents. And when it comes to viruses, these molecules are very, very small. So when they started saying bandana, that's when I knew early on that, whatever comes out of their mouth is not something I would trust. I would have to question it.
Yeah, put a bandana around your face or a T-shirt if you don't have an N95 mask, and that'll stop it. It was ridiculous. So then these doctors started questioning this. They started saying, wait, and they started raising the alarm bells to politicians. They started sounding the alarm. There was a number of doctors, of course, who had long-term alternative treatments which had won the Nobel Prize, which had been existent for many, many years, and they were finding great success with that. Dr. Peter McCullough, friend of the show. And then these doctors started raising the alarm bells, and they were silenced. And they were kept quiet. And many of them lost their jobs. They were ostracized. They were banned from social media. Is that part of this agenda to make sure that that never happens again?
It is. We all know that COVID-19 was just a play, right? It was just a rehearsal. we're getting these messages from WHO, from everywhere. There is a new disease that's going to come out. You need to be ready. Silencing physicians, scientists, moms, dads, researchers who are questioning things is never good. The only way we move forward is if you actually have a conversation and find the best way forward. It is very important for all of us to realize that CDC, FDA, NIH, all of these agencies, I would say for the past 3 years, they had their own agenda. And now it's time to have this conversation and say, what do we do forward? What do we do when this happens again? Do we just blindly follow it? And do we go with it, or do we try to figure out what's best for all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned the WHO, the World Health Organization. That's something we've been following very closely here on the show, the Pandemic Treaty. The largest funder of the WHO, of course, is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. 88% of the funding for the WHO from the philanthropic side comes from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They've been telling us very publicly that the next pandemic is coming. And Bill Gates specifically has said that it will target children. It's almost as if they know something. You mentioned that this was a play, a rehearsal. COVID was just a play and a rehearsal. And now, as this pandemic treaty moves further and further along, and it appears the United States is going to turn over its sovereignty to the World Health Organization, what can these doctors do? What can the Global Health Alliance, the Global Health Project do to try to raise awareness about this and stop this? What are you guys doing right now?
So the biggest problem with the IHR amendments and the pandemic treaty, or Accord, or zero draft, as they keep on changing the names, is that if another emergency happens, Director General will have the power to decide how countries respond to these emergencies. So if you look at the IHR amendments, that has to do specifically with vaccine passports, vaccines that we would use, medications, exams, possible border closures and things like that. That has all already played out. We've seen that. In this COVID-19 pandemic, WHO, those used to be recommendations. Now, if this is passed, they're going to become mandates and obligatory things that every country has to follow. What doctors have to do is, first of all, we have to work at restoring the trust that has been lost during these 3 years. Because if you ask someone on the street, you're going to get mixed bag of answers, but a lot of them will say, I'm not sure that I trust my doctors anymore.